Algebra, Lesson 6-2, Solving Systems Using Substitution. Today we're not going to be graphing at all. We're going to be using a new method called substitution. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples on how we can do this. Question number 1 says y equals negative x plus 4 and y equals 3x. This is a system. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a method called substitution. So notice they're both equal to y. So this is equal to y, and this is equal to y. So since they're both equal to y, then they're both equal to each other. So negative x plus 4 is equal to the blue box, 3x. So then we have an equation we can solve. So I'm going to add x, and I get 4 equals 4x, divide by 4, and x is equal to 1. Remember from yesterday, when we're solving a system, we're looking for an ordered pair that satisfies both equations. So what we did was we combined the two equations into one, and we solved for one of the variables. Now we're going to take that variable and substitute it into an expression. So I can either do the green box or the blue box. I think the blue box is easier. 3 times 1 is 3. Otherwise, if I plug the 1 in the top box, I can get the answer just as easy. Negative 1 plus 4 is also 3. So this would be the solution to that system. Number 2. Again, this is a system. It's 2 or more equations, except this time one equation is equal to y, the other one is not. So what we want to do is use this top one because y is already solved. So this purple is what the y is equal to. And it's called substitution because we're going to substitute that in the second equation for y. So this box is what y is equal to, so we're going to put it in the second equation. So we get 2 times the box equals x minus 8. So the only thing we took out was this right here, and we put the 2x minus 10 in. So again, we've combined our two equations into one, so now we're just going to solve the equation. Distribute for 4x minus 20 equals x minus 8. Get our letters together, subtract x, and I get 3x. And then I want to get my numbers together, so I'll do that in the same step. So I'm going to add 20. So the negative 20 and the positive 20 canceled. The x and the negative x canceled. So over here we get 12. Positive 20 minus 8. Our last step is to divide. And the first half of our answer is 4. Remember, we're looking for an ordered pair that satisfies both equations. So now we're figuring out where should we plug this 4 in. Well, I like the top equation better because it is simplified. So this is my x value, so I'm going to plug it in for my x value. So I get 2 times 4 minus 10. 8 minus 10 is negative 2. So this is the skill I'm going to be teaching you today, solving a system by substitution. So let's try one together. Substitution method. We're going to be solving systems. So first thing we want to do is isolate a variable. I would say that's already done for us right here. We know what y is. Y is 2x plus 4, so that's done. Combine the two equations. Well, what I can do is I can take this blue and plug it in for y. So I'm going to rewrite the second equation as 4 times the blue box. So I took care of this part, I took that out, and I put this in, equals 5 minus 3x. Distribute. Now we want to get our letters together and get our numbers together. So I'm going to add 3x. Subtract 16. And divide by 11. So the first half of our answer is -1. So that's our x value. We have to figure out what our y value is because we're looking for an ordered pair where these two lines intersect. So now I know what x is, so I want to plug that number in for x, and I can either do that in the top equation or the bottom one, but I think the top equation is simplified. So if I plug it in, 2 times -1 plus 4 is -2 plus 4, which gives me 2. So if I plug -1 into the bottom equation, I would also get 2. So this ordered pair is the intersection of these two lines. So we combine the two equations here, we solved for the variable here, and then we had to plug in to get the other variable. So I'll start you off on number 1. Our first step was to isolate a variable, and I think that's already done for us right here. So what I'm going to do, this is what y is. We want to combine these two equations into one, so we're going to put it in for y. We need to combine both equations, so I'm going to take this y out and put that box in. So I get x plus the box equals -32. Please pause the video while the student finishes finding x and y. So here's the first half of the answer. X plus 7x gives me 8x. We're going to divide by 8 to get -4. Remember, we're looking for an ordered pair, so we have to figure out what number goes here. Well, I think it's easier to plug the 4 in here. 7 times -4 gives me -28. Number 2, a little bit harder just because we don't have a variable isolated, whereas in number 1 we knew what y was, 7x. Down here, this is in standard form, this is in standard form, so we got to find the variable that it's easier to solve for. So up top, if I solved for y, I would have to subtract 4x. If I had to solve for x, I would subtract y, divide by 4. The bottom equation, to solve for x, I could add y. To solve for y, I would have to subtract x and then divide by -1. So I like this bottom equation, and I'm going to solve for x. So I'm going to add y, and I get x is equal to y minus 17. So now I have my equation solved. So I know what x is. And again, this is taking care of the second equation. So now this is my new second equation. So I want to take that red box and I want to plug it in the first equation. So the red box is what x is, so I have to put it in here. So I get 4 times the red box plus y equals 2. And now I've combined my two equations into one. So now I need to distribute. Combining like terms, 4y plus y gives me 5y. Then I'm going to add 68. Divide by 5, and the first half of my answer is 14. So notice that's a y value, so it goes second. So we still have to find the x value. So we need to either plug it in the top equation or this newer bottom equation. And I think it's going to work out a lot better down there. Because we know that y is 14, so I'm going to change that to a 14. So 14 minus 17 is negative 3. So I would say question 1 is an easy level question because y is already solved. Question number 2 is a little bit harder because you have to solve it first. So let's look at some questions where we practice determining which variable to solve for. Directions. Circle a variable you would solve for if you were asked to solve the following systems by substitution. So remember, we need a letter all by itself. So in number 1, I think it's going to be easier to solve for x because it's just going to take one step where we're going to subtract 2y. And I could get x equals 4 minus 2y, and this is where my box would go. Question number 2. Notice y has a 6, the x has a 3, this x has a 2, so I think it's going to be easier to solve for that one. So then I would add 2x, and I get y is equal to 2x plus 8. And again, there's where my box would go. So the trick is looking to see where the coefficients are. So because there isn't a coefficient here, this one's going to be easier. There isn't a coefficient here, this one's going to be easier. And then in number 5, this is already solved for y. So that's going to be the box that you would plug in up on top. And we'll talk more about this when I get back. Practice. Question 1. Find the solution of the system. We are going to be using substitution. So this is equal to y. So I'm going to take that and plug that in for y. So I get negative 3x minus 3 is equal to 2x plus 2. Get our letters together. Get our numbers together. And then divide by 5. We need to find the second half of our answer. So we know what x is. So we can either plug it in the top box for x, or we could plug it in the bottom. So I think the bottom might work a little better because I don't have to deal with so many negatives. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, plus 2 gives me a 0. Number 2, it looks like the y is already solved, so this is going to be your box. And we're going to plug that in for y down here. So we're going to take that out and put the box in. So we get 2x, but we have to subtract the box. And remember, if we're subtracting that box, this is a negative 1 sitting out here, so you have to distribute a negative 1. So I get 2x minus x plus 7 equals 41. Hopefully you're doing a good job of taking notes. I'm planning on coming around and checking your note packets when I get back. Simplify. X plus 7 equals 41. And x is equal to 34. I would plug that back in the top box, so I get 34 minus 7 for 27. Please pause the video while the students complete the next 2 problems on the next page. When everyone's done, play the solution. Here are the solutions. Number 3, the top equation is already solved for y, so I'm plugging that in for the box. I distribute a 2. Then I'm combining my terms for negative 7, getting my numbers together, and I get 2. Then I'm going to plug in my 2 in this box to figure out what the y value is, and I got negative 7. Question 4, The top equation is solved for y, so I'm going to substitute that in for this y. So I'm going to be distributing a negative 5. So that's why I have a negative 5x and a positive 5, because a negative times a negative 1 is positive. Then I'm simplifying to get negative 4, and out comes 5. So then I'm plugging 5 in here, minus 1 is 4. This concludes my lesson for today.